If we look at history, the biggest skydiving disaster happened due to a small mistake. This mistake was realized only after 18 skydivers had already jumped from the plane, and by then, there was no way to turn back. After jumping from the plane, the excitement of all 18 skydivers turned into fear. All of them were experienced skydivers, but unfortunately, their years of experience were of no use in this situation. In this accident, 16 skydivers lost their lives, and the 2 survivors told a story that sent chills down everyone's spine. Welcome once again, viewers, to the videos of ASTV. This disaster is remembered today as the Lake Erie Disaster. Lake Erie is located in the state of Ohio, USA, and is the 4th largest lake in North America and the 11th largest lake in the world. About 13 kilometers south of Lake Erie, there is a small airfield called Turner Airport. On August 27, 1967, 30 skydivers arrived at this airport because they were offered a free flight. The B-25 bomber plane, which was used during World War II and later modified by a private company, was offering this free flight to skydivers. As the skydivers started boarding the plane one by one, space inside the B-25 bomber started to run out. Due to the issue of being overweight, the pilot made a last-moment decision to allow only 20 skydivers on board. The selection was based on the experience and skill level of the divers. The remaining 10 skydivers, who were not selected, were disappointed at first, but they had no idea that this decision would save their lives. The plan was that the B-25 bomber would take off from Turner Airport, make a circular route, ascend to 20,000 feet, and then return to drop all 18 skydivers over the airport. After that, the plane would climb a bit higher, and at 300 feet the last 2 skydivers would jump. All the divers were supposed to land back at Turner Airport with the help of their parachutes. However, due to bad weather, the flight could not take off in the morning. It finally took off at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. The skydivers were extremely excited because they were getting a free flight, and this was their first experience jumping from a bomber plane. Along with the B-25 bomber, a Cessna 180 plane also took off from the same airport. The purpose of the Cessna was to stay at 12,000 feet and capture footage of the skydivers' jumps. Meanwhile, the B-25 bomber was spiraling upwards. Due to bad weather, both pilots were in constant communication with the air traffic control tower, which was guiding them about their locations. Finally, after an hour, the B-25 bomber reached 20,000 feet. The pilot radioed the control tower to confirm his location. At that time, GPS technology did not exist, so pilots had to rely on air traffic controllers for navigation, especially in bad weather. The control tower informed the B-25 pilot that they were 9 kilometers away from Turner Airport. Based on this information, the B-25 was now very close to the drop zone. A minute later, the Cessna 180 pilot also contacted air traffic control to confirm his location. Since the weather was bad, the Cessna pilot could not see the B-25 bomber. The air traffic controller told the Cessna pilot that he was 9 kilometers behind the B-25. If we look at the map, this meant that if the B-25 was 9 kilometers from Turner Airport, the Cessna was another 9 kilometers behind, which placed the Cessna 18 kilometers away from the airport. A few minutes later, at 20,000 feet, the B-25 pilot asked for his location again. This time, the controller told him that he was directly over Turner Airport. Hearing this, the pilot signaled the 18 skydivers to jump. However, the small mistake that would cost the skydivers their lives had already been made. But no one knew it yet. At that altitude, the temperature was minus 30 degrees Celsius, so all the skydivers were wearing extra layers of jumpsuits. They all jumped simultaneously to form their freefall formation in the air. At that time, they could see a thick layer of clouds below them, and they had planned to deploy their parachutes only after passing through the clouds. They were enjoying their freefall, but the moment they crossed the cloud layer, their excitement turned into terror. Instead of solid ground, all they saw beneath them was the deep water of Lake Erie. By then, they were only at 3,000 feet, so they immediately deployed their parachutes, hoping to land somewhere near the lake's border where they could reach the land. But unfortunately, that did not happen. The spot where they landed in the water was at least 10 kilometers away from land. They thought they would detach their harnesses and swim until help arrived. However, things did not go as planned. Due to the heavy layers of clothing they were wearing, it was impossible for them to stay afloat in the water. Among them, 2 skydivers had removed their boots and excess weight before landing, and these were the only 2 survivors who managed to stay afloat for some time before being rescued. The remaining 16 skydivers sadly did not survive. Their bodies were missing for several days, and the last body was recovered a week later. This accident made headlines worldwide, and an investigation team was set up to determine what went wrong and who was at fault. The Air Traffic Control, ATC, claimed that when the B-25 bomber dropped the skydivers, it was 10 kilometers inland over Turner Airport. They believed that strong winds drifted the skydivers over Lake Erie. However, experts calculated the wind speed and found that the skydivers could have drifted only up to 5 kilometers, not 20 kilometers, as ATC claimed. This meant that something was definitely wrong with ATC's statement. It was finally revealed that at the moment when both pilots asked ATC for their locations, there was a shift change among air traffic controllers. The new controller mistakenly gave the B-25 the location of the Cessna, meaning, when the B-25 pilot was told he was over Turner Airport, he was actually over Lake Erie. The Cessna was actually the one over Turner Airport. Additionally, both the skydivers and pilots made a fatal mistake. They jumped without visually confirming their target. For 2 years after the disaster, skydivers deliberately landed in Lake Erie while wearing flotation devices in memory of the 16 victims. In 1972, the Federal Aviation Authority, FAA, was held responsible for the accident, and the B-25 pilot's license was permanently revoked. A new rule was implemented. Skydivers must jump at least 50 kilometers away from any body of water. We hope you enjoyed this video from ASTV. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and leave your valuable comments. Thank you for your love and support. See you in the next amazing video.